Welcome back. Come November 6th, Houston voters must decide whether to continue investing in the program known as Rebuild Houston. Proposition A has been called a referendum on the 6-year-old voter-approved drainage fee, which was sold to taxpayers as a dedicated revenue source to improve the city's streets and construct additional flood protection infrastructure. Now, Mayor Sylvester Turner is campaigning for continuation of Rebuild, claiming the fee has allowed the city to retire more than $1 billion in outstanding debt while bankrolling $800 million worth of critical improvements. However, there are critics, and they contend the so-called rain tax amounts to a bait and switch, with little debt actually paid down and huge sums being siphoned off by city leaders to fund people and projects that have little to do with streets or sewers. The lead critic, Bill King, what say you?
Well, this is a topic about which I'm going to have a difficult time remaining civil.
Come on, Brett Kavanaugh, calm down, calm down.
This was a $100 million tax increase on Houstonians. And we were told that $100 million per year was going to be put in a lockbox, and it was going to be spent on infrastructure. Since Rebuild Houston was adopted, we are spending less money on streets and drainage than we were spending before it. Now you think about that. We added another $100 million a year to the pot, and yet we're spending less on infrastructure today than we were before. That's because we were told it was going to be in a lockbox. That was a complete and total lie. There are 530 employees this year being paid out of the dedicated drainage fee, including a hike and bike coordinator. These people are doing absolutely no work on drainage whatsoever. We were also told this was going to pay down debt. And I'm telling you flat out right now, anybody who tells you this has paid down 1 penny of debt is a liar. Our public debt has gone up in the last 7 years, and the public improvement bonds the section is supposed to pay down is exactly the same as it was before Rebuild Houston. Not 1 penny of debt has been paid down by this program.
Now I've been told that some debt has been paid down. The city has taken on additional debt for the pension and other things, but that in fact money has gone to retire past debt.
First of all, no money's been paid out of Rebuild Houston to pay down debt. We had bonds that were in place when Rebuild was in place, and we've made our payments on those bonds just like we were supposed to make, just like we had to whether Rebuild Houston was passed or not. We then went out and borrowed more money. We were told we weren't going to do that, that the bond debt was going to go down. The bond debt for public improvement is exactly the same amount it was before Rebuild Houston started. We have not paid down 1 penny of debt through this program.
We're going to bring on someone from A in the future because this is a critical issue. Now, there were developments this week in the contentious battle over pay parity for Houston firefighters. Mayor Turner announced a citywide hiring freeze, claiming voter approval of Proposition B would have a devastating impact on the budget. Also, the Greater Houston Partnership is opposing Prop B, saying the city can't afford the high cost of what it calls an unequal system. Now, Tomaro Bell, speak.
Okay, back to my basic of this entire argument, pay parity. Once again, pay parity is when you are paid equal pay for equal work. That is not what the firefighters are asking. The firefighters for years have built up their pension, and I'm proud of them. That's all fine and dandy. In accepting those terms, they declined raises multiple times. Now they're saying, okay, now that we're at 95% for pension, where they were at 150% of their retirement for pension, now we want to get the back salaries that we didn't get. I am in total agreement that they are due a raise to be on parity with their counterparts, which is around 15%. This 25% that they are asking for is lunacy, lunacy. And you as the public and we as the public cannot afford it. There are always consequences when you spend more than what you got. And back to what Bill King said even before, he didn't let me get into that. When it comes to Rebuild, everything that Bill said is more than likely true. But my point is that it also comes to the agreement why you need to vote yes, put the money in a lockbox. Because when you put it in a lockbox,
there is no lockbox.
You can't do, he's right, there is no lockbox.
It's not
he's right, but there will be a lockbox because of the case that was filed. Because come hell or high water, whether you lockbox it or not, that's a tax you cannot deny. You will still have to pay because the city is a taxing authority, and you still have to pay it whether this passes or not. And Bill not telling you that part, but you all need to be clear about that. You still got to pay it whether it's in a lockbox or not. The only thing is if it's not in a lockbox, he can do everything Bill said they've been doing.
Is it appropriate for the Greater Houston Partnership to jump into these issues?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, these are the lead business leaders in our community. This is essentially our umbrella chamber of commerce, if you will. So I think the Greater Houston Partnership weighing in on these and giving their perspective is helpful and informative. We don't always agree with that perspective, but I certainly think there's a place for that in this debate.
We should stop the divisiveness, though. I mean, I spoke to Chief Pena. Obviously, he's working really hard to get parity for pay. But by the same token, I hate to think that you got the police working against the fire department, working against the city. I support all those entities. I want more information, and I think we should be fair to all these folks.
Gotta leave it there. Gotta leave it there, Tomaro. When we return, could years of sewer system neglect cost Houston taxpayers billions at the courthouse? Plus, breaking news on that giant dioxin dump near Galveston Island. A shocking revelation about who is ultimately responsible. So stay with us.